You yawned in front of your computer, closing the chat program as you removed your hood. Code meetings on Zoom. What a joke. But at least this way no one mistook who was who due to the full face covering. Today your glorious leader wanted to try his hand at summoning an internet deity. Truthfully, he had just seen too many B-movie horror films or websites that game and you. Of course it didn't work, even after 4 hours of visiting the dark web and reciting incantations. What a waste of your precious off-work time. Sure, you only work part-time at a shoe store, but even as a part-timer who only worked 6 hours a day, you would still have to attend weekly group meetings because some idiot in your department squeezed the customers behind. So now everyone has to go to this stupid sensitivity training, even the girls. Worst thing about the situation was that the customer was the dude's girlfriend and she consented to the squeeze. But CCTV picked it up, and your manager recently got really into Twitter arguments. Sadly, it seemed like he joined the wrong side on the problem. Damn it. And tomorrow was one of these. Ugh. This meant waking up 2 hours early to arrive 2 hours early for the stupid lecture. You had taken this line of work due to your cult activities. You very closely work with a man named Brother Gonzalez, the treasurer of your organization. Being the man's right hand meant that you were in the upper half of the cult's ranks. Sadly, this forced you to attend any summoning session as a sign of being a cult faithful. Your leader believed that if you were the one to start the apocalypse, you would also be the one spared from it. And he wanted to definitely make sure that his upper echelon would survive together with him. But honestly, you were just a coward, and the moment you had caught a whiff of there being a powerful cult among your community, you decided to join it before they would commit a grand act of violence that would leave everyone game-ended but you themselves. It was ironic to you how this was then actually their goal. Your new name was Sister Roslinde. Every cult member got a fake name to use among one another. The only one who knew everyone's real name was your dear leader. While he had come up with an esoteric reason for these fake names, it was obvious that he wanted to use these as leverage should he ever get caught by the police, for blackmail or whatever. As you looked at your PC screen, you were fighting within yourself. Should you browse a bit or just go to bed? Well, knowing yourself, you just clicked the shut-off button. After all, you were a comfort animal. And when it came to technology, the moment you did get comfortable, you wouldn't go to bed for hours. In fact, you had gone to work too late multiple times because the gaming session from the previous night went on for way too long. You walked into your kitchen with hanging shoulders, pouring yourself a glass of milk. You wasted essentially an entire day of gaming. And then you realized that the bottle was almost empty. Shrugging, not really caring at this point, you just put the plastic to your mouth, drinking a huge blob of it in a single go. However, that seemed to be a mistake, as the loud sloshing of the milk bottle overpowered the quiet rustling of your backyard hedge. Someone was watching you. You gasped in satisfaction as you put the bottle down, before throwing it into the trash can. That was good. Just what you needed. Lazily, you wandered into your bathroom next. Your house was the cheapest of the neighborhood. No, not because it was haunted or somebody was game-ended here, but because it was the only one that didn't have a second floor. And the basement was just a tiny room that you had filled with knickknacks you weren't sure you ever needed again, but if you did, you would be happy you kept them. Because of the squeezed tiny house with almost no room, you had set up your bed in your attic. It got quite stuffy up there in summer, but in late winter, like right now, it was just right. So once you felt clean and your hair was adequately dry, you climbed up the ladder and quickly crawled into your bed. Meanwhile, your stalker sharpened his blade. Bob Wellsett, infamous serial game ender, also called the Devil Butcher, was on the prowl. While Bob was a member of your cult and only meant to hunt what were the enemies of your organization, sometimes it just itched in his fingers. And the only thing quieting the voices in his head was the thrill of a good meal. But admittedly, since joining the cult, he didn't indulge on the game-ending urges much. Only staring at his prey, imagining the meals he could make from them, silently wishing they would wake up just to give him a reason to strike. If your cult did one thing right, it was taming him to a certain degree. To the upset of the voices in his head. He sometimes played with the thought of giving them names, but they were just too many. And when he was trying to do so, they would tattle on one another, making their moans and groans worse. So he learned to stop thinking that. Bob was one of the two cult's enforcers, meaning a security guard of sorts. His job was to be just intimidating enough for cult members to think twice of betraying the organization. Well, for him, these moments were just another day in paradise. Bob had eyed you for a while. You were attracted enough so he thought of you during rituals and cold getaways, not knowing that you were the small hooded figure right next to Brother Gonzalez. The entire time, he thought of how soft and tender your flesh looked. Imagining the taste, the texture on his tongue, he wanted to eat you slowly, so he could savor every minute of you. He even had come up with a recipe that barely used any spices, so that the taste of your meat was as close to natural as possible. Though he could always eat you raw, but that just felt like a waste of a good fillet. He awkwardly climbed under your hedge, staining his turtleneck, making him sweat in the cold. Oh, you'd pay for that, making him do this, just to get your attention. He watched you gulp down what to him appeared to be a gallon of milk. He blinked. Well, that was kinda hot, he thought. Plus, the milk would make your insides taste less sour. A double win for him. Bob quietly checked your doors. Not only locked, but also not flimsy. Someone did their homework. Though your garage door, that wasn't locked, and was easily lifted by the powerful man. Surprised to not find a normal vehicle but an ATV, he stood there for a moment. You had made the choice to drive that thing as it was safer than a motorcycle and cheaper than an actual car. He blinked twice before shaking his head. Focus, Bob. Focus. Slowly, the Devil Butcher entered your house proper. Inside it was surprisingly cool. Someone didn't heat their house properly. That was a mold risk. Annoyed, he twisted your thermostat slightly higher. He hated such carelessness. He then heard your shower from the other room turn on. Wow, you even cleaned yourself before a meal. How polite of you. When he heard the door open, he quickly hid between your bookshelf and the wall. He stuck out like a sore thumb, but the enhanced luck camouflage, thanks to the cult's rituals and magic, was just barely enough to hide him. He watched your unclothed self wander past him, making him blush. Opening a drawer to put on your pajamas. Man, wrapping yourself up like a delicate candy. How kind of you. He then decided to lie down and wait for you to fall asleep in your attic before striking. At around 3 a.m., he made his way up into your attic, hand firmly grasping his knife. Tonight he'd feast. Your attic was low, so he had to crawl. Creaking boards made it difficult to move. He really didn't want to wake you. But once he was next to your bed, he licked his lips, raised his hands. However, right before the stab, the butt of his knife hit a button on the wall, turning on the light. Immediately awoke, blinking, as Bob, now in the light, noticed your necklace. He blushed hard, and so did you. This really was an awkward scenario. Of course, you didn't scream. After all, you knew Brother Bobby. If anything, you felt awkward.
Who are you from the organization?
You blinked, then deadpanned, understanding what the hell was going on here immediately. You always wore your completely face-covering hood due to your high rank in the cult, so of course he didn't know your face. I'm Sister Rosalinde. His eyes widened.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's probably the best word to use here.
I really didn't know, sister. I'm sorry.
You blinked, thinking. He then went down, kneeling before you, just next to her bed.
Please accept my apology, oh dear treasurer.
You sat up and looked down at him. Oh, maybe this being the right hand of a cult's higher up wasn't so bad. You bit your lower lip. This submissive Bobby really made you horny. You know, Brother Bob, your heart jumped. I'm not sure you really mean that. Oh God, you were about to try and seduce a serial killer. Bob now looked right into your face.
What do you wish for?
Smirking, you ordered, first stand up and turn around. You just wanted to make sure. Yeah, just make sure. Awkwardly, Bob got on his feet, crooking his back a little to stand before turning his back to you.
Damn, Bobby had some cake,
you thought. One sec. I actually always wanted to do that.
Sister Rosalinde, what are you talking about?
Not answering, you reached into your nightstand, pulling out a fly swatter. This is gonna hurt you more than it's gonna hurt me. Following this, one loud smack echoed through the room. Bob didn't even flinch, though. You kinda imagined this being more satisfying. But then again, Brother Bobby was reduced to an embarrassed hunk of meat, so how should he react? Shrugging, you threw the swatter on the ground. Okay, though. Well, okay then, off with those pants.
What?
Don't worry, the turtleneck stays on. It's kinda hot on you. You blushed lewdly as you watched him unbuckle his belt. We're going to have fun until the sun rises. And depending on how satisfactory your work is, I'm gonna pull a sick day. And you too. The devil butcher gulped. But he was a man, and the moment he watched you unbutton your pajama shirt, his animalistic desires had taken over the thinking for him. For once, quieting the voices in his head. Hey, thank you for watching my video until the end. If you're new here, I hope you stick around and watch a few more. But before I say goodbye, I'd like to remind you to like the video and subscribe. I also have a Ko-fi and Patreon if you want to support me financially. And I also have a community Discord server. All links are down in the description. Hope you have a good day. Until next time.